Here is Israel.
Hello, I'm Lela Gilbert. I'm the author of this book, Saturday People, Sunday People, Israel Through the Eyes of a Christian Sojourner. I came to Israel in 2006 because I was curious to see the country. And I did a lot of reading before I came. I wanted to research the story of the Jews in this land. As a Christian, I knew about the religious side, but I didn't know a lot about what had happened to the Jews in the time before they came and after they got here. So I did a lot of reading, and it was all very interesting, but it was 3 years after I came, in 2009, that I came across a story I'd known nothing about before. The story of the forgotten refugees. Who are the forgotten refugees? I didn't know. I had to go home and find out. I did not realize that 850,000 Jews fled Muslim lands between 1948 and 1970. I had no idea about this. The story never made it into the West. And even here in Israel, people don't talk about it much. But it's a horrible story. It's eclipsed by the Holocaust, which is even more horrible. But from 10 countries or more, Jews fled with the shirts on their back. They left financial wealth. They left their properties from years back. Many of them had 2 millennia of history in the countries they lived in. And they had to go because the countries would not welcome them any longer and kick them out, beat them up, tortured them, imprisoned them, and killed them. So they came here in those years. And this was a story that I was shocked to learn about, and I started writing about it when I began my book, Saturday People, Sunday People. Why did I call the book that? Because there's a jihadi motto that says, in nice terms, first comes Saturday, then comes Sunday. But in a more direct way, and in the Arabic, it says, on Saturday we kill the Jews, on Sunday we kill the Christians. The reasons for their reluctance to see themselves as victims was because of the Holocaust, because they didn't want to even begin to feel like or sound like they were worse off than anybody else when so many millions of Jews had died. So they were alive. They came here alive, and their children were alive. They may not have been so healthy when they first got here. They lived in tents for 2 or 3 years, and some of them had very little to eat, but they started over, and today more than 50% of the population is peopled by the refugees that came here between 1948 and 1970. It's quite a story. I focused on Egypt, Iraq, and I've recently begun to look at Syria. Egypt had over 100,000 Jews in 1948. Today there are less than 25 Jews there. In Iraq there were 130,000 Jews, and today there may not even be any. If there are any at all, there are 2 or 3 very elderly people. And in Syria, there were 30 or 40,000 Jews, and today there are less than a dozen. One of the things that is so shocking is that these people left behind so much land that it's estimated that 5 times the square mileage of Israel, the state of Israel, was confiscated by the governments that expelled the Jews. And yet they came here and they began again. And this is the beauty of Israel. This is the courage of Israel. It's something that I never cease to be amazed by when I see terrible accidents, terrible terrorist activities. People sweep, they grieve, and they go back to work. And it's so courageous and it's so impressive. In a world of victimization, it's very, very inspiring to me. It's been my privilege to talk to many people who've told me their stories and the stories of their parents and grandparents. The more I talk to them, the more amazed I am at the texture and fabric of the society in Israel. There are so many nations represented here, and they're represented in everything from food to wedding ceremonies to representing themselves in the Knesset. It's an amazing tapestry of Jews. And I find it amazing, and I find it tragic that the world doesn't know about the story, and I want to make it known.
Here is Israel.